Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm looking at a big northeast storm that could be dumping over a foot over some parts of the northern part of New England over between the 7th and the 10th. Now, before we do get into it, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. It really supports the channel because I did actually make quite a couple of maps today for this video. I made my snowfall predictions for this storm and then also a surface map, and we're going to kind of be analyzing what's going to be happening throughout the next couple of days with this system. Now, here's the National Weather Service, pretty quiet. The only thing that we have is over the northwest, we have some air stagnation advisory and some air quality alerts, and that's due to some lowering air quality over parts of the northeast, which includes Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. Now, really, aside from that, a couple of counties in California seeing some air quality alerts, and then some flood warnings over some of the Midwestern and Southern Plains rivers, but that's pretty much it. We don't have too much going on throughout the rest of the U.S. Now, we're going to be looking at this big snowstorm that's going to be impacting the Northeast between the 7th and the 10th, and also the Great Lakes. But more so for the northern part of New England, and then getting into the interior Northeast. But these models have been really shifting around, so we're going to kind of be looking at this European model run, the latest one, and then we're going to look at the snowfall totals from the previous couple of runs, and just because of how much they have actually changed. Now, here's the European model. And you see, this would be for tomorrow morning, and you see pretty much nothing. But our area of energy is still up here. This is a separate area of energy that's going to be moving out, and it'll bring some moderate snowfall over parts of northern Wisconsin and northern Michigan for a brief time period, and then move out. But this system is going to kind of join up with this southern component coming in from the southern jet. So you're going to have some energy from the southern component, and they're gonna kind of move, and and it's gonna kind of bring some snowfall to the northeast. Now, yesterday's video, if you did watch that, we went over the 4 different storms, and I don't know what happened overnight, but the models have completely swapped within a 24-hour time period. A lot of areas have now been bumped up with more snowfall, and a lot of areas have actually been kicked out. The model ones haven't been showing snowfall for those areas. So I really thought today we're only a couple of days out from this system that's going to be for Thursday and Friday, and we still have so much uncertainty. Models are showing, some models have this going out into Canada, and others have it going into the mid-Atlantic. Some have it over the coastal Northeast. So it's really hard to predict this. This is one of the more tricky storms, and some of these November storms have actually surprised us. They've overperformed or underperformed. So these November storms are kind of hard to predict. So you see, this energy came out from Canada, and it's going to move out. Now, this energy is our snowstorm, and this unorganized area of thunderstorms is our southern component to this, and they're both going to move out into the northeast and mid-Atlantic. So you kind of see how by Thursday morning they're joining together, and then as you zoom in on the mid-Atlantic, this would be for Thursday night. Heavier snow bands moving into parts of northern, northwest Ohio, pretty much the northern part of Ohio, Cleveland, Columbus. All of you are seeing snowfall by this point. Cincinnati, you're down right there. You're not going to be seeing snowfall too much, maybe some mixing in, but then as you move on to Friday morning, you see it's really heading into the northeast, some mixing right along where the rain and snow is, and then we have some backside heavy snowfall to the west of Boston, to the northwest of New York City, into upstate New York, parts of western and northern Pennsylvania. So all these areas are seeing moderate to heavy snowfall by Friday morning. Now, as we keep on going on, heavy snowfall in through Friday afternoon. Some really heavy snowfall offshore of Boston by this point. But you have to imagine kind of how that how there was this heavy precipitation moving through Boston. So you'll probably see about 30 minutes of this really heavy snow squall type activity over parts of Boston. But mainly for New York City, New Jersey, you're mainly going to be rain. But I do think you're actually going to mix in with some snowfall, especially over the northern part of New Jersey into northeast Pennsylvania and New York City. Probably eastern Long Island won't get in on too much of this snowfall. They'll just be too close to the center. Now it moves out into Maine with some very heavy snowfall, and then it moves out into Canada by Saturday morning. Now here's your snowfall totals. Here's a zoomed in look at the Mid-Atlantic, and then we're gonna look at the Northeast. So this model run of the European model has kind of been different than all the rest of the model runs. This model run has really moved all this up north. Before, the European model run had our bullseye really between Boston, New York City, and Philadelphia and DC. Now, you see, we have a widespread about 1 to 3 inches over these areas, but not too much in the form of snowfall over the Great Lakes, and some of this will be lake enhanced. Now, over the Northeast, this is where it really bumps up with our snowfall totals, and you see, this is our Kuchera snowfall rate. So this is bringing, instead of a 10 to 1 average snowfall rate, it kind of uses the temperature in the atmosphere and matches it up with a correct snowfall rate. So since the atmosphere is so warm, these snowfall rates might be 12 inches of snowfall to 1 inch of rainfall, but the standard is usually 10 inches to 10 inches of snow to 1 inch of liquid rainfall. So you see, we have a good chunk of over 6 inches over the interior Northeast. Some of those northwest suburbs of Boston could be seeing about 1 to 3 inches, but not too much for the actual downtown area of Boston. New York City, anywhere south of New York City is really not seeing anything in the form of snowfall. At least from this model run. A couple model runs ago, we had about 6 inches over this area. So they've just been flip-flopping, and it's kind of hard to tell. And the European model really showing a lot of snowfall over these areas. 30 inches, 3 feet of snow in November. So that would definitely be one of the record breakers. Maybe not for those areas. They see quite a bit of snowfall, but definitely something that's very noteworthy. Now here's the GFS model run. And the GFS really does not have this developing as impressive as the European model. The GFS has started to kind of show what the European model is showing, but just way farther north. So only parts of extreme interior New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire are really going to be, and Maine as well, are going to be seeing that snowfall. So you see, here's that little clipper system that goes over the Great Lakes, and then those two areas of moisture. If we move back a little bit, you see this moisture, almost like a Colorado low, except it kind of originates, uses some of that Gulf moisture instead of just popping up out of Colorado. But you see, we have a lot of moisture to work with, especially because the Gulf is still fairly warm. Temperatures are still in the 70s and 80s. So over the waters, and that's pretty warm air, and that's some pretty moist air as well. So it's bringing up that air, and then it's gonna move out, and it's gonna get that cold part of it, that cold component, and that's gonna let snow happen on the back side of this, or on the northern side. So you see, this would be for Thursday night, some really intense snowfall. But you see, on the European model, we had our rain snow line down sort of like this, but you see how it's much further north here on the GFS model run. Now, as we continue to move on, you see it's only snowfall for the interior parts of the Northeast by Friday morning, and then just some lingering snow showers, some lake effect over the lakes by Friday afternoon and night. Now here's your GFS snowfall totals, and you see we have about a dusting or so over parts of the Great Lakes. Some areas seeing about 2 to 3 inches, but that's mainly from that clipper system, especially over parts of Michigan, Wisconsin, northern Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota. That's all from that clipper. So really all of this is from your northeast storm. So As we go to the northeast, you see some snow over parts of the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia and West Virginia and Maryland, and then also going up into central PA, and then moving through the northern part of New England and northwest parts of upstate New York. So you see, this is much farther north than what the European model is showing. The European model is showing snowfall pretty much kind of like this. So, and the GFS is only showing it really like this. So, definitely some big differences in how these two models are presenting this system. Now, here's your model trends from the GFS model first, and you see this is the run that we just looked at. Here's the run before this at the same time period for Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, and you see much different story here. We have about a dusting or so over parts of northern New Jersey into upstate New York, northern Pennsylvania, and then in through most of New England, except Maine, not seeing snowfall from this run, and then some areas, most likely from lake effect snowfall, seeing about 1 to 3 inches of snow. Now here's the model run before that at the same time period, and you see really nothing except for a couple of inches, if even an inch, over parts of northern New England, and then the model run before that, the model run that was for that would be for Monday or not Monday, Sunday afternoon, and you see pretty much the same story as the model run before that, but less snowfall, actually a little bit more snowfall, especially in those higher elevations. Now here's all those model runs put together, and you can see a big change in what the model is showing. So it's showing a good swath of snowfall over the latest run, and then the past couple of runs have been a little bit more widespread, you could say, but less, much weaker than this latest model run. Especially the model run right before this showed some widespread snowfall, a widespread 1 to 2 inches, but not too significant. Now here's your European model trend. So this is the last model run that we just looked at. Now here's the model one before that, and you see how that rain snow line was further south. Downtown Boston was seeing about 3 to 5 inches. New York City is still out of that, and Philadelphia, you have a very low likelihood of actually seeing snowfall from this one. But you see, there's a good that same not as much snowfall. It tracked further south, and it kind of weakened a little bit. But you see about a foot of snowfall over parts of interior Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. So that would definitely be, I would say, at least notable for those areas. Now, here's the run before that for the same time period, and you see we're still about 6 inches, and now New York City, parts of New Jersey, northern half of New Jersey are seeing at least a dusting or a coating, and then parts of northern New Jersey, northern Pennsylvania, southern upstate New York, and then most of southern New England are seeing 3 to 5 inches. And then the model run before that, absolutely nothing except for that. Actually, I looked for the precipitation for this one, and it had nothing. It had these two components completely separate, and it had this one riding up here, and this one riding here. But they both had cold air to work with, so it led to a couple of maybe a dusting over parts of New Jersey and Long Island and Pennsylvania. Now, here's all of them put together, and you can really see how it went from a very weak system to the next model run, seeing a moderate snowfall, fairly major snowfall in the next one, and then a complete blizzard in this final the latest model run, where you could be seeing over maybe 3 feet over parts of Maine. Very crazy. Now here's your surface map that I made, and this actually took quite a while. So please do again consider subscribing and leaving a like on this video. So you see, here's your low pressure system track. So I'll do this in another color. So here's your track of your system, and that's your red line. Now to the south of this, you're going to be seeing mostly rainfall, some mixing, and this includes Boston, New York City, not Philadelphia. Philadelphia would still be mostly rain, and then once you're getting to southern Pennsylvania and central Ohio, and that's where you could be seeing a mixture of snow and rain. Now, the model ones weren't showing snowfall for New York City, parts of coastal New England. I still put that mix because we have that chance, we have that threat for snowfall. I wouldn't put it out of the question, but mostly if snow does actually fall out of the air, it's probably not gonna stick. The surface is still too warm for it to stick, but after a couple more snows, it'll probably be able to stick without a problem, especially once we get into late November over these areas, and then mostly snowfall over areas in the interior Northeast and Great Lakes. That doesn't mean that you're going to be seeing a lot of snowfall, especially over the Great Lakes. You probably won't see that much snowfall. It's just that it's going to be cold enough that all the precipitation you see is most likely going to be in the form of snowfall. Now here's my predictions for this snowfall. Now anywhere in this lightest shade of blue, you're going to be seeing at least a coating of snowfall. Now as we add our next layer, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall over parts of Ohio, eastern Indiana, southeastern Michigan, and then stretching into parts of the northern, I would say 2/3 of New England and upstate New York. Now 3 to 5 inches over northern New England and parts of upstate New York, and then 5 to 8 inches once you get into parts of northern Pennsylvania, parts of central and northern parts of upstate New York, parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, and then 8 to 12 inches over parts of central and southern Maine. Once you get into northern, well, pretty much all of New Hampshire, Vermont, and northeast part of upstate New York. Now, that was the video, guys. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. Again, it took a lot of effort to make this video, and I'm trying to improve the quality of my video, and I'm trying to experiment with a couple of things, like the layering of the snowfall maps and making more maps in general. So if you did enjoy that, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications. Really supports the channel. Anyways, thanks for watching. That was Eli the Weather Guy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.